Hello, and welcome to episode 38 of Mishmash Mayhem.
Mishmash Mayhem.
The podcast where we take the schoolyard conversation of, hey, which one of these fictional characters would win in a fight, and we talk about it on a podcast.
That's what this is. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. It might be your last. Make sure you look behind you. There could be a man that'd kill you. Or woman. Let's not discriminate.
Or non-binary gender.
Yeah. Assassins can be non-binary too.
We should that should be our next t-shirt. I say like we've got a lot of t-shirts, but
Assassins can be non-binary too.
Please phone non-binary assassins for all of your non-binary assassin needs.
They talk in Morse code.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was a joke about not using binary.
Well, I'm Chris.
And I'm Wade.
I'm glad that we have the right people in the right place doing the right thing.
You don't know that. I could be a different Wade.
Oh, right. I suppose Wade is a collective, isn't it?
No, I am a singular.
You're a singular Wade, but there are many a Wade.
Yeah, but that's a different Wade. That's a different use of the word Wade. There are too many uses of the word Wade.
Yes.
I am a Wade. I'm of the Wades. I can wade.
All true. What are we here to do today?
Well, like all previous 37 installments, 37 I believe is a prime number. You know, I like prime numbers. I like pointing them out. I'm going to feel really bad if it's not a prime number now. I need to check.
I think it is. I can't think of any things that go into 37.
Good. Okay, it is.
An Optimus Prime number.
An Optimus Prime number. That probably is a thing. Much like all 37 previous installments, today we're going to bring in two of our favourite fictional characters from across all sorts of sources, and we're going to put them in a fight to the death. Now, last week we had a victorious Anak Zahad or Anak Zahad, who knows, I don't know. But it wasn't just a first victory or a second victory, it was a third and Hall of Fame, which means that this week there are two new characters to introduce. I know, God forfend. That is a phrase, but I don't know what it means. I think it's like God forbid, but...
Shock horror.
Anyway, so... The shock horror. What we're going to do is we're going to introduce both of these characters, and we're going to go through stuff like, what they're like, bit about their backstory, where they're from, what kind of weapons, skills, and other things they might bring into a fight to the death, and also what their favourite colour is, and what they would love to get in their stocking for Christmas, because it's going to be near enough to Christmas when this episode comes out.
It will probably be basically Christmas when this episode comes out.
And then we're going to find out where they're going to fight, and there's only one way to do that. I mean, there's lots of ways to do it, but there's only one way we do it, and that's to roll
Die of Death!
the die of death. And then we'll I don't know, we'll be happy, we'll get an arena for them to fight, and then we'll see what we think would happen.
It could well be happy before the fighting starts. That tends to bring you down on things.
What if it was like a fighting arena, and everyone was bored because there was no fighting, and then there was fighting?
That'd be different. We did already have boxing, right?
Yeah, we did. But anyway, yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Cool. I'm down for it. Would you like to go first or second with your character?
I mean, I've been going first the last 3 weeks, so
Yeah.
I'll go second.
All right then. In which case, let me introduce you to a character whose clue alluded to that they were, the main character of a Netflix cartoon, anime-style cartoon, based on a series of video games. And the character is, of course, Trevor Belmont from Castlevania.
Ah, yes. See, I guessed it was Castlevania, but I didn't know it was Trevor. I don't know who Trevor is.
You should watch Castlevania, it's really good. So it turns out, from doing a bit of research, he's quite an important character in the games too. But I've not really, I've not actually played any of the games, so I just really like the show. I should play the games at some point. The problem is, I don't really like Metroidvanias.
I mean, the first Castlevanias aren't very Metroidvania.
Really? I
don't think the very first one is. I think it's more just like slashy through. I might be wrong. I don't know.
You see, I got the impression, I mean, again, I've not played them and I could be wrong, but it's actually the other way around. Like, the really old ones are like the old Metroid games, just in a castle, whereas the more recent ones are a bit more of a linear hack and slash I'd probably get on better with.
Oh, well, I don't know.
But like I say, I've not played any of them. I could be very wrong. Who knows? Point is, from watching the show, I really like Trevor. He's a very cool character.
Is he magical?
No, not really.
Oh.
But he is the last remaining member of the Belmont family, a family who have been famous vampire hunters, and they are sort of, the people that go and kill all the vampires.
They haven't done a very good job, by the sounds of it.
Well, I mean, they've killed a lot of vampires. They are, vampires are wary of the Belmont. They have killed so many vampires. The thing is, it's very easy to grow numbers of vampires, more so than humans, because you just have to go and bite other bite people and then feed them your blood. Because, if you drink from them and they drink from you, they become a vampire. And it's much easier than, having sex enough that you get somebody pregnant, because, there's no guarantee it will happen quickly. And then waiting 9 months for that baby to be born and then raising it to be a vampire hunter. That's a lot more time consuming than just making more vampires.
Yeah, that's fair.
He starts off, he's very a solitary, a bit sort of gruff and doesn't really like people. But as he sort of gets to know the other characters who are important, especially the witch whose name I can't remember. Cypher. Yeah, not spelled like that, but he sort of becomes a bit more out of his shell and a bit more like people personally, because by the sort of later episodes, him and Cypher kind of get together, which is probably why his favourite colour would be blue, because she's a blue person. I mean, she's not a blue person, but she wears blue.
She's blue, dabba dee ba da 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 dabba dee dabba.
And he's kind of like the funny comic relief character, so to speak. He makes a lot of stupid jokes and stuff. And a lot of fighting quips and that. I mean, I wouldn't ever describe it as a funny show. It's very sort of gothic, but he provides the small humour that is there. So that's kind of a bit about his thing. He is an expert combat. He's a very skilled fighter. He is in peak physical condition and has very fast reflexes, referred to as like a cat, which is obviously sort of known for being very good at reflexes.
So if someone puts a cucumber behind him, he freaks the fuck out.
He's probably not actually scared of cucumber. I don't think that's a reflex thing. I don't know what that's about.
I think it's because something in there, goes into their personal space that they're not expecting. To be fair, if I walked into a room and I'd, scouted out a corner, and then someone managed to sneak in without me noticing, a mannequin of anything really, and I turned around, I'd probably freak out a bit.
Yeah, that's fair. To sort of give you an idea of how sort of good he is at fighting, I'm pretty sure it's the first scene of the show, or at least the first scene he is in. Actually, I think there's a bit with Dracula at the beginning. But so his first scene in the show is sort of when he's a bit more of his antisocial and recluse sort of thing. He's getting absolutely fucked in a bar. He is way too drunk, and then he ends up in a bar brawl, and whilst completely smashed out of his head, he beats up all the other 4 guys who are in the bar without any difficulty.
Nice.
I mean, he's quite often against your sort of run of the mill, I guess, not named vampires in the show. He never really has much problem beating them and killing them. He's very sort of competent at what he does. Obviously, spoilers for people who haven't seen the show, which I'm aware includes you. Along with the other 2 characters in the show, Cypher and Alucard, he does manage to kill Dracula, even being part of a... Actually, I think he might... So I don't even know if Cypher was there at that point. It might have been just him and Alucard. But part of a 2 or 3 man team being able to kill Dracula, who is the most powerful of all vampires, is very impressive.
Dracula's... Well, I mean, I don't know how powerful he's supposed to be in that incarnation, but certainly other incarnations, he's pretty banging.
Well, yeah, I think he's supposed to be the most powerful vampire.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I don't know how powerful that is. Do you know what I mean?
I'm trying to think what cool things Dracula has done. I mean, I don't know. He doesn't do a huge amount of fighting himself in the series. He does a lot of he raises armies of demonic creatures and stuff to savage cities, and very much
He does a lot of brooding on a chair, drinking wine.
Drinking blood, but yes.
That's definitely wine. Wine and blood. Cocktail.
He does a lot of, he runs the vampire army, and he gets a lot of his generals and stuff to do stuff for him. So, but, he is incredibly powerful. Trevor is also a master of martial arts. He's very capable in hand-to-hand combat. Again, being able to defeat both human and non-human weapons. His strength is probably, sort of above that of a normal human, because, he's able to sort of punch demons flying and stuff, and the demons are beyond human strength anyway, so.
Is he able to punch flying demons? Flying.
Yes, probably.
I just heard punch demons flying, and I was like, can he punch flying demons? Can he punch flying demons flying?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
But even when he's sort of very against the odds, he's very good at staying sort of calm and collected during combat. He doesn't get phased, which obviously helps him sort of stay good. He also has very good knowledge of human pressure points and in certain demons as well. So, he knows like the weak spots to hit in people, which very much helps him. He also has a increased endurance and pain resistance. Several things that would kill a normal mortal man he has recovered from, such as like falling from great heights or, being attacked in the head. The example on the wiki is that he gets smashed back first into a staircase by a minotaur, and he's like, he gets up from it.
Classic.
Here we go. Here's a example of Dracula's strength. Apparently, Dracula can kill a normal human in one punch, but Trevor was able to, fight him. What?
Just laughing at killing someone in a punch. It's like One Punch Man, but Dracula.
Yeah, but Trevor was able to take several sort of hits from him. I mean, don't get me wrong. By the time they beat Dracula, I'm pretty sure he was a bit worse for wear, but the fact is he managed to do it. He is also a master of weaponry, or at least his weapons. He tends to have a whip in one hand and a short sword in the other. This allowing him to sort of like whip enemies that are far away and sort of, either use the whip to keep them at bay or to drag them close to him so he can kill them with his sword, or he can just, if something gets too close to him, to use his whip. He is just a very capable swordsman and can just fight them with the sword and such. He has also used a Morning Star in a few cases throughout the show, but it tends to be the sword and the whip is his go-to.
I do like the whip.
So Trevor is also very educated and knowledgeable of combat in general. He's been seen to be a very good, capable military commander when he's had loads of people to sort of tactically move around in battle. As I've already mentioned, he's very knowledgeable of the weak points in many humans and demons, and he's also just sort of very capable of of encouraging or discouraging mob mentality. Like, he's very good at riling people up to start a fight if he wants to. He's also very good at diffusing situations. Like, he's just very good at knowing his way psychologically around a fight as well as physically. But yeah, and then that's basically Trevor. He's very, very powerful, uses a sword and a whip, quite hard to kill, certainly more so than the normal person, and stays calm and collected in fights, which he understands how fights work very well.
Happy days.
Yeah, so enough about Trevi B. Who are you bringing in?
No, my clue was, I don't remember the first part of the clue, but I do remember mentioning that they were used to advertise Money Supermarket. They are so Money Supermarket.
Yeah, I really don't remember who that was.
You don't remember? What if I went, yeah?
Wario?
What? No, it's Skeletor.
Okay.
Did you never see those adverts?
Yeah, I think I do remember He-Man being on adverts. I didn't remember them being for Money Supermarket.
Yeah, man.
Wait, so this is pretty cool. I mean, I understand traditionally vampire hunter, but essentially it's a demon hunter or an undead killing guy against a big skeleton.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't, on paper, that doesn't bode well for Skeletor, but tell us about him and prove us wrong.
Sorry, I'm too busy watching this advert. He's doing a epic dance. He made a woman dance. He gave his excellent scepter, which we'll get through, to a little schoolboy. And now he's outside a chicken restaurant or something.
Well, put a link to the advert in the thing, in the chat, and tell Wilko he has to put it in the show notes.
Yeah. I mean, I dropped it in yours. But this is not at all an accurate representation of average Skeletor.
No, because it's epic Skeletor, that's why.
It's epic Skeletor. Right, Skeletor. Everyone knows Skeletor. If you don't know Skeletor. He's from... Oh, there's a Skeletor remote! Where'd that come from? I need to know. He's from the He-Man universe. That's the He-Man where you raise your sword to the sky and shout, I have the power! I mean, it's not quite that. He goes by the power of Grayskull, but, close enough.
I knew that as well. Is it when you said that? Like, yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, of course it is. Duh. Right, so, Skeletor. I mean, there's been a couple of incarnations of Skeletor across the years, because there's been various different incarnations of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. But we're going to go for the classic cartoon one from the, 1990s? Oh, it tells me somewhere, but I'm on from the Filmation animated series, which was 1983.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
The one that had the most recognisable yet poorly designed voice for Skeletor ever.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's great. I love it.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's brilliant. I wouldn't change it now, but it doesn't suit him at all.
I think it does kind of suit him, but only because we're used to it. I mean, if you were to see it now, if you were to like remake a film now, and you were like, oh, here's the evil villain. Oh, he actually looks really evil, and then he just went, yeah, you'd be like, what? Okay. Anyway, I am going to steal a little bit of backstory that came through a different incarnation because they never alluded to his backstory in the 1983 version. So it just adds extra flavour. I think that's fine. It's not going to give anything else. So, Skeletor. You'll notice that he is not a man because he is purple and he has a skull for a face instead of face for a face. Well, he used to be a Gar, which is a race of purpley, blue-skinned human-type people. And for some reason, a flashback sequence reveals that before he was called Skeletor, he was called Keldor, apparently. Similar to the way that Daleks were called Khaleds before Davros made them into Daleks by flipping their names around. So, for some reason, Keldor leads the evil warriors in an assault on the Hall of Wisdom. Don't know what either of those two things are. But Randa and the Masters defend the Council of Elders. Don't know what those are. The Masters are obviously the people that He-Man's with. Don't know who Randa is. And when Keldor tries to throw a vial of acid at his enemy, Randor shields himself and it reflects back and hits Keldor in the face, which is sad. Following his disfigurement, yeah, I know, acid attacks, they're not cool, man. Following his disfigurement, Keldor recognizes his only chance to survive is for evil Lyn to take him to the Sanctuary of Hordak, where she summons the ancient villain. It doesn't say who the ancient villain is. I guess it's Hordak. Yeah. Keldor, after Hordak is summoned, he begs Hordak to save his life no matter the cost. And Hordak reduces his head to a dismembered skull hovering above his shoulders, and then renames him Skeletor. And then when to be honest, that's not a bad cost to save someone's life forever. When your face is already ruined anyway, why not have it completely ruined? If you said whatever the cost, and that's all the cost is, that's not that bad as far as shady deals go.
I mean, yeah, just having like your skin taken off, but you get to survive. It's pretty cool.
It's only off your face as well, where all your skin is already taken off by the acid. So,
well, yeah.
Anyway, renamed Skeletor. He laughs maniacally in his own reflection, of course. So that's how he became Skeletor. So flash back forward in time to the 1983, which is in the past of the other version I just said, which was in the future, but was in the past. He lives in Snake Mountain and constantly is trying to outsmart and destroy He-Man for reasons. Because why not?
Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. How does he do this? Well, he tends to do it by sitting upon his throne and sending his inept henchmen to do the task for him. And
yes, that's true evil villain way.
It's the true evil villain way, yes. I am an almighty sorcerer, and I will send my shitty hench villains to do the job for me. Why did this plan fail? That's pretty much what Skeletor does.
Right, so this is the thing I've always wondered about, I guess dungeon crawling, games and RPGs and stuff especially. But there's always the weak enemies, first. But because all the heroes have beaten them and leveled up, they're okay when they get to the stronger enemies. And it's why does the big villain at the end of the dungeon not just put all the strong enemies at the door?
Yeah, I know, right?
And then they'd be fine. Nothing would ever go wrong.
Because that would be unsportsmanlike. Even, Bowser has some sportsmanship in him.
Sure.
So yeah, Skeletor himself, though, sometimes he does get involved in the fray, and when he does, woohoo, he's he's not so bad after all. Which makes you wonder why he doesn't just go and do things himself. So Skeletor possesses an array of mystic powers and magic powers that seem to vary depending on the whims of the particular writer using him at the time. However, they all portray him as very powerful with a range of dark magical powers. And I'm just going to go through some of the early things we have here. So Skeletor, as well as, being a dark purpley man without a face and a dark hood over him, looking really, really cool. Do you remember what his signature thing is? His signature weapon? His signature...
He had a big sword, didn't he?
Well, he does have a big sword sometimes, which is one half of the power sword. The other half of the power sword being, I believe, controlled by He-Man. But I was actually going to say his ram staff, which is called the Havoc staff, which is his long purple thin staff with a ram's head on the top, or a ram's skull, which is what he mostly uses to channel his magic. However, it has also been employed for remote viewing, so as in, like, to see things from far away. I don't know what it means by that.
It would be like when you look in like a mystic ball or something, you'd be like, what's He-Man up to now?
Yes. And it's also been used as a melee weapon in battle against He-Man's own power sword. So, this thing's got some stirred to it.
Oh yeah, it's some serious dark magical shit.
It's not just a piece of wood. It's a piece of wood.
He-Man's like, I have the almighty power of this amazing magical sword. And he's like, I brought a 2x4.
I brought a 2x4. So, Skeletor's magic powers that he uses through channeling this can include discharging bolts of mystic force. So, like, shooting people with magic. Being able to freeze people in time. Being able to teleport himself and others over vast distances, including, going back to Snake Mountain, usually by saying, I'm going back to Snake Mountain.
Man, I wonder where Skeletor went.
I wonder where Skeletor is. We'll never find him now. Open gateways between dimensions. We've had someone who could do that before. Perform remote viewing, as I mentioned. And, a whole host of evil things, probably also put curses on people and stuff like that, but mostly it's going to be used for discharging bolts of energy, freezing people in time or freezing people a bit, and teleporting himself probably to Snake Mountain. Despite being mainly a powerful sorcerer, he is also more than capable of physical combat, and unlike a regular human, he has above average physical strength, as proven in numerous encounters with He-Man. Now, I mean, he's never really defeated He-Man in physical combat, but He-Man is like a superhuman, like with superhuman strength. So the fact that he can, defend against He-Man is the proof of his more than average physical prowess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and indeed, obviously mentioned he has used his Havoc staff in defense against the power sword. So to collectively, he's a pretty bulky boy.
Oh yeah.
Skeletor as a person, though, he's not the smartest man ever, and he's quite arrogant. And he probably thinks he's going to win. The sites I was looking at defined it as hubris, and I was like, I need to define what hubris is. But it's being confident, being overconfident in yourself.
Yeah.
So, like,
seems to be a common theme for characters that we've had around.
Certainly evil ones, yeah. Although, I suppose Anak wasn't really evil. So, most of the time he doesn't end up taking over whatever domain they're in. He-World. I'm going to call it He-World. I'm sorry to anyone who likes He-Man. It's because, he'll just send out his minions to do things that, by all means, he should be doing himself. Or he'll just gloat that he thinks he's done something, and then He-Man will probably pick him up and throw him away like a ragdoll. But yeah, he prefers his minions to deal with He-Man, and then he's always upset when his minions get defeated by He-Man. Just stupid. Apparently, I love this. This just has this sentence under personality. Take a great delight in tormenting his eternal nemesis, that's He-Man, whenever the opportunity presented itself, such as the devious scheme to trick He-Man into thinking he had killed an innocent man. That almost broke the hero's spirit completely. Why didn't he just kill an innocent man? He's the Dark Lord Skeletor. He's the dark, evil Lord Wizard Skeletor. Like, he can do that. He doesn't have to pretend.
No, because he's not pretending he's done it. He's pretending he's getting He-Man to think He-Man had killed him.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because that's why it breaks He-Man's spirit. Because He-Man's like, no, I've done some... that sort of thing has been done to a lot of, like, the I don't kill people superheroes.
I'm quite embarrassed that I misread that sentence so badly. I could just imagine Skeletor, like, showing He-Man a video, like a fake video of him killing an innocent man, and he might just be like, no. Okay, yeah, that makes far more sense. Probably cut that out. You don't need to cut it out. His favourite colour is purple. I mean, if it isn't, I'll be amazed.
He wears like a lot of like purple, doesn't he?
Yeah, his Havoc staff is purple. He calls King Randall a royal boob. That's got nothing to do with purple, but it's just a fun side note. It's a fun side note. But there you go. That is Skeletor.
Cool. Well, it's good that we have introduced both the characters.
Yes.
Otherwise, this would be really weird and confusing.
It would.
So I guess now we have to determine where they fight.
Yes, we do.
And we do that by rolling the Die of Death.
The Die of Death.
Okay, so today's fight is taking place. We're going to have to shrink our characters down, by the way, just so that they fit.
Okay.
So today...
I mean, He-Man would... I mean, not He-Man. Skeletor would do that on a whim anyway.
This is the thing. Skeletor and Trevor Belmont are both quite big, chunky guys. Because Skeletor is just huge anyway, and like Trevor's pretty stacked because he's really muscly and stuff. I'm going to shrink them down to approximately, I imagine, the 8 to 10 inch mark.
Okay, that's quite small.
Yep. Because they are going to... So do you know Pizza Planet?
Yes. I do know Pizza Planet. Are they going to the claw machine in Pizza Planet?
They are. They're going to be inside the claw machine in Toy Story's Pizza Planet.
Nice.
Which means they're going to be surrounded by LGMs.
I don't know what that stands for, but
Little
all I know
Red
is ooh. Ooh.
The claw. It moves. Ooh.
I mean, this is going to be... This is a disaster for everyone involved. I love it. Like, have you ever tried... Like, this is like a giant ball pit, but made of
plastic.
sentient plastic that just goes, ooh, and maybe like grabs onto you so they can be released if the claw reaches you.
I mean, but what about if the claw grabs one of them?
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, like, you've been in ball pits, right?
I have.
But have you ever been in a ball pit that's like super mega deep? You know, like it's hard to walk on ball pits, isn't it? So, but yeah, so this is not going to be easy to walk across.
No.
Because it's going to be like shifting and swaving and all those other things.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, normally, of course, we have the reigning champion starting present in the location and then someone else joining. What are we doing this time?
Well, I think for canon's sake, or convenience's sake, because there's already loads of Skeletor toys. I mean, I had one as a kid.
Yeah.
So, there must be a Trevor Belmont toy or model or statue or something somewhere.
Right, sure.
So canonically, for this episode only, they're toy versions of themselves. And they can be the new prizes. So Pizza Planet staff member is going to be like, I'm going to put these inside. And then obviously once they go away, Toy Story rules. Everything comes to life, doesn't it?
Yeah, including the claw.
The claw never came to life.
No, but people use it.
Yeah, it gets operated every now and again. What you have to do every now and again, just be like, I don't know, you can do an off-camera dice roll. And if it's whatever number you determine is acceptable, you can bring the claw into play.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking if you did the claw every now and again, like as if some kid is trying to use it to get them, but isn't really paying attention to all the mayhem that's going inside, because that's children.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'd be like a 1 gets Skeletor, a 20 gets the other guy, and any other number just gets an alien or fails to get an alien, but doesn't get one of them.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more aliens than there are. Right, so Skeletor's there with his Havoc stuff. He hasn't given it to a schoolboy.
Yes.
But maybe a schoolboy can win it today. And what was his name? Trevor?
Trevor Belmont.
Oh, sweet. I don't care about his surname. Old TB.
Mr. Tuberculosis himself, yeah.
Mr. Tuberculosis. Trevor is also in there. So I guess, they're both like waist deep in little green men aliens.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
And they awaken themselves. What doth they say?
Oh, shit, I could really go for a drink.
That's what Trevor's saying, or that's what you're saying?
Trevor.
Oh, okay, fair. Skeletor will be like, "You're not He-Man. Are you associated with him?" I'm going to try and do this voice all the way through.
All right.
It's probably going to change a lot and not be very accurate.
Excellent. That is exactly what I'd expect for an impression done by one of us. I know not of this, He-Man, but you, infernal demon, must be in affiliation with the vampire.
I know of no vampires. Get out of my way. And then He-Man would just be... Not He-Man. Oh my god, why am I saying He-Man? That's why you were confused. He-Man bursts through the doors. Skeletor... I've got a bad feeling about this. Skeletor is then going to be like, men... I assume that the aliens have come alive as well. And they go...
Yeah.
Yeah, so Skeletor is going to be like, green men, Kill that man and I shall teleport us all out of here to Snake Mountain. Enough. Get him, green men.
I do. I don't think the LGMs would give the slightest semblance of a shit.
Maybe not. Does it matter? No. Either way, if there's a lot of little green men hanging around who are seemingly alive, and, they're going to be... If we scale this up to... obviously we scaled them down, but if we scale it back up, they're quite a distance away from each other. One would be in one end, one would be in the other. It's not like... And it's hard to ruffle over the surface as a normal walking would do. So Skeletor, he loves using minions, and he could be like, oh, I could get all your minions out of here. I think he'd absolutely try and coerce the little green men aliens.
They would just wouldn't want him to teleport them out because,
No, maybe they wouldn't.
Well, that's it. They'd all be like, oh, the claw is the divine will of the claw. I mean, they don't use that terminology, but
I mean,
so they would.
Some of them here might try to do something, but the only problem with the little green aliens is they have the mobility of a rock. They can waddle a bit and maybe use their arms. So even if they went and tried to attack Trevor, the best they're going to be able to do is maybe like gently grab onto him, and he would just be like, bat their hands away. That is it. That is what I imagine would happen. But I mean, they all believe in the destiny of the claw anyway, so they probably wouldn't.
Just before the fight starts proper, the claw happens. They've done their pre-fight talk. Before they actually get into the combat, I think there should be a pre-fight. It's like, Mommy, I want to go and win an alien. Farewell, I have been chosen.
Just discussed it out and come to the same conclusion. I agree. They'd probably just...
That's an alien.
Some of them would be like, but the claw, only the claw may choose.
Boob.
Only the claw. Yeah, that's what they say, isn't it? Enough of the claw, get out of my way.
The claw freezes time essentially for claw-like maneuvers.
Oh, right, okay. So the claw activates.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I rolled a 10, so it's just going to get some aliens. I'll get all of you chosen if you attack that squandering boob. He likes the word boob. For some reason, Skeletor and Trevor are both adhering to the law being still when people are observing.
Trevor's going to start this shit off. I feel like, because if he's finding it hard to move through the LGMs, he's going to whip Skeletor and then try and sort of whip around him to bring Skeletor to him.
I mean, I'm not sure his whip would be able to reach across the whole distance they are to start with, but... he could absolutely whip off the claw to get himself... I mean, the claw is probably a bit higher than that, but whatever. For the sake of fun, he could probably whip onto the claw as the aliens are getting... because the claw resets itself, doesn't it? After
it cheers.
People fails. Yeah, so someone could see that it failed to get an alien, so it could still be moving around. And he could probably whip himself out with a claw to get himself more on top of the aliens rather than in the aliens. In the aliens.
That would work, and then he could just run along the top of the aliens.
Yeah, he's probably deft. He might stumble once or twice, and he isn't going to be able to run at full speed, but he's probably fairly deft enough to do it without having too much difficulty.
Mm-hmm. And you'd as he's running, you'll just hear because all the aliens are squeaky.
And if you go oh, wow. Skeletor, meanwhile, will probably be coming straight at me, are you, you fool? Trying to just squirm his way out, but he would bring up his Havoc staff and fire off a bolt of mystic magic at Trevor McGever.
Trevor would spring off of a little green man, dodging it with all the cool awesomeness of an action hero.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then continue his advance on Skeletor's location.
Yeah, and he's probably... Skeletor probably just has enough time to just shuffle out, so he's on top of the pile of these useless minions, just like in real life.
Oh.
As in Skeletor's real life. Nothing has changed for Skeletor.
Yeah. I just clamber on top of minions.
Yeah, so probably just has just enough time to clamber out before Trevor gets to him.
Cool. In which case, Trevor's going to go back again to the plan of whipping Skeletor.
Oh, sorry, excuse me.
He's going to try and wrap his whip around Skeletor and pull Skeletor off his feet so that he can then go and stab him. And a good stabbing. Stabby stab.
Okay. So as Skeletor's got back to his... Well, I say back to... He's got out of this silly predicament. I say he's got out of this silly predicament. He's still inside a claw machine. He sees the whip coming in and is probably just gonna try and deflect it with his Havoc staff out the way, and then try and thrust it forward again to shoot off another magic bolt, be his game. Game.
I mean, I think again, like, you know, Trevor's just going to sort of dodge out the way and keep trying to advance on Skeletor.
Yeah, so he goes for a whip, and it just gets smashed out the way with his ram, and then Skeletor like goes thrusted forward and goes for another like magic blast, and Trevor definitely just dodges out the way. Well, and then is he going for a whip again, or is he going in for something else?
Maybe what he'd do is he'd try and, rather than trying to do a whip grapple attack, he'll just try and do a, you know, like a whip crack, like a hit him with the whip.
Yeah.
Thinking, oh yeah, he'll deflect that again. As he's deflecting that, Trevor will now be sort of close enough that he can then just go for a sword attack while he's deflecting the whip.
Yeah, okay. So he goes for like another whip, and Skeletor's like, useless repetition! And he says that even though he himself repeated an attack. And smashes it out of the way, and then sees, as he's bringing his stuff back into some kind of position, having deflected the whip, sees Trevor advancing mode. It's like, coming at me, fool! And tries to get ready his stuff to like block the sword incoming.
Is he successful in that?
I mean, he's taken against He-Man quite a lot of times. I reckon he's going to be able to block Trevor's sword. If it was like perfect flat ground, he probably wouldn't have had the time, but given that this is, squidgy alien men, and Trevor's the one doing the movement at the minute, given that he's had to dive out the way of magic and stuff, it's probably going to slow him down to the point where Skeletor's got enough time to react and defend appropriately.
Okay, so, they'll collide. They'll be in a deadlock. Sword against staff.
Sword against staff. And Skeletor will probably once again go, minions, now! Just nothing will happen. Ooh, only the claw may decide.
You foolish creature. These minions, these life forms are no minions of yours.
If you're not a resident of Snake Mountain, you are my minion. Or you are a coercer of He-Man.
I think at this point, like, while he's mid sort of evil monologue, Trevor's just going to headbutt him.
I love it. Straight in
because Trevor doesn't give a fuck.
I love it. So, you are an accessory to... my face! He-Man would never be so inconsiderate. Yeah, I suppose because Skeletor from this universe is absolutely used to having, in the fast action paces when there's no speaking, he's used to blocking stuff. But when people are stuck in strongholds, now I'm not saying that this is what an advanced nemesis should be, but given that I went with the 1983 character version, he is absolutely used to having all the time in the world to speak what he wants to before they swing into their next actions. So yeah, he's gonna get headbutted straight in the head and just be like, no. What's Trevor gonna do with that minor advantage? I
think he's gonna try and whip Skeletor's leg out from underneath him to sort of take him off his feet.
Okay, yeah, sure. So Skeletor's like, yeah, and then a whip grabs him and yanks his leg up, and he falls over into the little green men.
Does he keep a hold of his staff as he falls down?
I would have thought so.
Okay.
Because he was using it as, to defend against the sword. He wasn't using it. He didn't have any forward momentum with it or anything. So, and there's nothing that's been trying to pluck it from his reach. If you fall over ice skating and you're holding an ice cream, the chances are you're probably still going to be holding the ice cream.
Sure.
It's not as if someone was trying to wrench it out of his hands. So I don't see any reason for him not to be holding his staff when he falls over onto the little green men.
I think, and then as he's on the floor, Trevor's going to bring his sword down to try and, cleave his head in twain.
Yeah, I mean, he could try, I think.
We will try.
He will try. I think Skeletor's going to be able to bring his stuff to block again. He'll probably just be like, enough! And then use his, I don't know what he wants to do first. Fuck it. He's got the ability to teleport himself and others. And he's in a compromising position, so he's going to teleport himself to on top of the claw.
Ooh.
And then he'll be up there, and he's like, minions, who do you worship now?
The claw!
The claw! And obviously, he's going to be doing this stuff, so Trevor is... you can come back to see what Trevor wants to do, but Skeletor will then try and use his magic to levitate a green minion alien up to the claw, so he could try and convince the aliens, the little green men, that they should aid him in his quest. Because Skeletor was all about using shit minions. That's what he's all about. That's his defining characteristic. Or it's not, but yeah, I feel that that's the kind of thing you'd probably try and do.
Levitate an alien claw to make people believe that the claw works for him, and therefore the alien should work.
Yes.
Trevor, obviously, like where Skeletor is trying to convince the LGMs that he is in charge of the claw and therefore is God.
In this realm.
Yeah, Trevor's going to be like, no, look, he's using infernal magic to deceive you. He is a false idol and needs to be defeated.
Enough of your bastardry. I mean, he wouldn't say that in a PG thing. Enough of your slander, He-Man wannabe. Minions, get him. I mean, obviously, I'm not expecting them to get him, but...
Yeah, so knowing the little green men aren't going to come after him, I think Trevor is just going to whip his way up to the claw and sort of like pull himself up to do like a kind of superhero style rising punch into Skeletor.
Okay, I think, while he's jumping, Skeletor will try and fling the little green man that he's levitating into him. But that doesn't mean he's not going to try.
I think there won't really be much Trevor can do about that because, it would just be a case of, is Skeletor a good enough shot to hit him with a levitating alien?
Well, I mean, he's going to be quite quick, though. I think Skeletor isn't... to be honest, even if he does, it'll probably bounce off of him. So maybe it does hit him, but I don't imagine it will have too great of an effect. The little green men are quite light, aren't they? They're not bulky. And, Trevor's launched himself quite well. He's got good momentum. I don't think it... Well, you said he, whipped himself as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
You, using the whip. So, I mean, even if it does hit him, I don't think it's going to be enough for him to let go of his whip. So maybe he might pendulum a bit out.
Well, this is what I was thinking. It will throw off his trajectory. So his rising punch won't hit Skeletor.
Okay, yeah. But I don't think it's going to stop him being able to get up to the top.
I mean, Skeletor's on one side of the claw, Trevor's on the other. What's that? A small child is coming over to use the claw machine.
But it can't grab either of them.
No, it can't. But it can move.
Could move. Are you suggesting it might destabilise either one of them?
Potentially.
I mean, maybe... I mean, Skeletor's probably, stood one leg on one and holding on, and he's got to have his ram hand in the other. His ram hand? His Havoc staff in the other. And Trevor, will be like, maybe he's just landed or he's holding on to one of the claws, but he's got his whip will be round against, like the claw, the top. So I don't think he's got any chance of falling off. I mean, I don't think Skeletor would fall off per se, but he might. He might do. I mean, how hard do the claws go? Maybe he does fall back into a repository of little green men on the floor. I mean, that would be very Skeletor to do. So yeah, I mean, because you're saying that when this happens, that the whole thing freezes for them, right? Effectively. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to roll for whether Skeletor falls off or not. I don't think he will, so I'm going to give it like 15 to 20 as he's going to fall off. Mm-hmm. Okay, he falls off. So, as the claw, the jarring motion goes off, he falls into the pit of little green aliens. The claw does its thing. It's not going to grab either Skeletor or thing because it probably loses him on the jarring motion when it's resetting. Mm-hmm. And obviously it can't grab Trevor because he's on the top. So then time resumes. As Skeletor finds himself on the floor of the little green alien. It's like, what sorcery is this? My sorcery. Yeah,
I don't know. Sorcery seems to be more your thing, Infernal.
Yeah, it just probably. He can see him getting his grip onto the claw, so fires another mystic bolt at him. Trevor is going to, in order to dodge it, jump off the claw, but then whip it and swing over to where Skeletor is. I love it. Really cool, Spider-Man-y Assassin's Creed sort of motion. It's going to be great. Yeah. Meanwhile, Skeletor, he's annoyed that he's been frozen in time, and he thinks it might be Trevor's fault, and he has the ability to freeze people in time as well. So he's going to try and freeze Trevor and just freeze him in time a bit, capture him with his Havoc staff. I'll show you time. It's not a very good evil phrase, but How easy is his freeze time thing to get around? I suppose if Trevor's swinging towards him anyway, there's not much Trevor can do to dodge. Yeah, I have no idea on it. To be honest, I've never seen it in action. Never tried to dodge it personally. I've never tried to dodge it personally. When people capture people at tractor beams and move them around and they're stationary, but they're still alert in the brain. Yeah. I kind of think it's like that more than frozen in time, if that makes sense. Yeah, well, that's it. So it's their body can't move, but they still work. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So Trevor's frozen. Wait, would he stay frozen in midair or would he fall onto the Green Man Sea? He would. It would be. I think it would be in midair, to be honest.
Cool. So he'll freeze in midair. He'll quit, like have a moment to realise what's happened and just be like, oh fuck.
And Skeletor would probably be like, ha ha ha, I've got you now. Like, be looking for some kind of over exuberant way to do something about it. Like maybe he wants to try and use the claw to remove him from the arena. So the machine is made of glass, right? They can see the buttons outside. So if he's like clambering around the front, he'd be trying to work out the contraption itself, but he would absolutely not be paying attention to Trevor while this is happening. Like, you know, as far as he's concerned, he's got him trapped. That's fine. I'm going to work out how this machine works, and then I'll deal with it.
Classic cartoon villain.
Classic cartoon villain.
How long does the freezing thingy last?
I have absolutely no idea, but I'm willing to bet.
Well, then find out or make it up.
I'm willing to bet, I'm going for the make it up option, that it's less time than it takes Skeletor to work out how to control the claw.
Okay.
Now, I'm guessing he manages to like look up at the claw machine and, you know, look around and maybe see some like buttons outside. Oh, my screen's gone blank. That's fine. Maybe he notices the buttons outside and starts thinking about how he's got to use magic there. I'm not sure how parallel his magic can be either, but maybe he's just starting to figure it out. And probably Trevor just drops out the sky into the little green men behind him while he's like looking outside at the buttons, figuring out what it does. And they'll be like, if I use this button here and that stick there.
To which point, you know, while he's doing that, Trevor unfreezes. He's just like, oh, son of a... Sees Skeletor looking outside I'm going to use the word window of the spaceship.
Yep, window.
I think, again, he'll just kind of do like I think he's going to try and sort of do a whip round Skeletor's neck and then just try and drag him back.
Okay, yeah.
If he's like, Skeletor's looking at something, he's like, well, whatever it is, I need to get him away from it.
Yeah, that's fair. So, I mean, Skeletor's looking through the window and he's like peering through. Like, at the last second, he just sees in the reflection, like, Trevor just over his shoulder and like a whip come around and he just goes, oh no! Like, it whips around his neck and he just gets dragged backwards onto the floor. He's like, no, get off me! Little minions, help!
I assume Skeletor doesn't need to breathe, being an undead thing. Like, he's not going to start choking from the fact there's a whip around his neck.
I wouldn't have thought he would. No. I have nothing to confirm or deny it, so I'm making it up.
Okay. Well, in which case, Trevor's just going to sort of pull him in as quick as he can, thinking he can then, again, like, go for a sword when he gets a bit closer.
Given that he's being dragged backwards, it's going to be hard to aim properly, but he's going to try and shoot, like, some magic blast backwards, but he's probably not going to be very accurate with it, due to the nature of being dragged over a bumpy layer backwards by the neck of little green men.
Sure. You know, Trevor will do what dodging is necessary, but as long as he doesn't let go of his whip, he can keep dragging in whatever direction he ends up being. Yep,
indeed.
So, yeah, just basically carry on with plan. Bring Skeletor to Trev stab Skeletor.
So I think, like, you know, as he gets nearer, he might go for, well, a Skeletor, you know, if he goes for the sword, Skeletor will probably be able to, like, block one with his Havoc staff. Because, you know, he is, like, looking at Trevor while trying to fight, but it's, you know, it's bumpy. That's why he's not having some accuracy. So he'll probably be able to block one. So what's Trevor going to do after the immediate blockage?
You really are a stubborn beast that refuses to die, aren't you? And then he's just going to start kicking him in the head.
I love it. Skeletor's like, no, minions, now is the time. Just like, and if he's getting kicked in the head as well, he's going to be rattling a lot. He's not going to be able to see perfectly. He might, you know, he'll try firing off some other bolts.
I guess when he starts going off to shoot off his bolts, his staff will be in a less defensive position.
Yes.
And Trevor will probably take the opportunity to, again, try and get a sword, like stab or a slash or something.
Yeah, you know, and he'll probably get one. I don't imagine a first sword stab would kill Skeletor because he's a weird undead demon thing.
Super dark magic, yeah.
Yeah, no one really knows what he is. But, you know, once he's been stabbed once, he's going to be in some pain. He's going like, no! Squirming around and all that jazz. I don't think it's going to be too much of an effort for Trevor to disarm him while he's injured, and then... Yeah,
that was going to be my next thing. He'll probably try and, while he was reeling from being stabbed, even if it doesn't kill him or whatever, he could then use his whip to sort of fling the staff away.
Yeah.
And then resume the stabbing, kicking, punching.
Yeah.
Is Skeletor able to use any magic without his staff, or does he need it?
Honestly, I have no idea, but I kind of assume that he mostly uses... It says that he uses it to channel it, So I'm guessing even if he can, it's going to be with a far reduced vigor.
Sure, because I'm sort of thinking unless Skeletor can do some sort of pulse or teleport or something, I don't think he has a way of escape. Although they both have superhuman strength, so I guess are on some level comparable, and therefore I feel like Trevor can hold him down.
To be honest, now you've mentioned teleporting, you're probably right. Skeletor, he's a bit of a sore loser, really. I imagine that he would probably just go, what was the exact phrase?
Return to Snake Mountain.
Yeah, return to Snake Mountain. And then he'd probably just teleport himself, having taken some heavy wounds, would teleport himself to Snake Mountain, therefore by forfeiting the match by leaving the arena.
But is he able to do that without his staff? This is what I was getting at. Because, I mean, if he can do his teleport magic, can't he just teleport Trevor off him? Skeletor, teleporter. Skeleport.
It says he has the ability such to teleport himself and others over vast distances. So my assumption is that it has to include himself.
Okay.
Like some kind of mass teleport skill.
Yeah.
I don't think he necessarily does use it. I just think it makes him a lot more powerful. So he probably would be able to just teleport away.
Okay.
And now to Snake Mountain. Return to Snake Mountain. And disappears to fight He-Man another day.
Well, Trevor is like, he turns to address the LGMs like, I think I've saved you from this creature for now. Although I must find Snake Mountain and defeat the darkness once and for all. And then, to which point, Trevor runs off, comes out the escape hatch thing, the prize hatch, and leaves to find Snake Mountain.
I love it.
As is the epic tale of toy Trevor Belmont, who probably won't be in the next episode because it will be a real Trevor Belmont, even though they'll share their victory.
They'll share their victory indeed. Wow. I mean, I'm not going to lie, when those two combatants were introduced, I was like, I think Skeletor will probably lose this because he's just
ridiculous,
overconfident, and isn't much of a one-to-oneer. He's more of a terrible schemer. I hadn't considered that neither of them would die, but when it was brought up that Trevor probably wouldn't be able to necessarily kill Skeletor in one hit, Skeletor is definitely the kind of man who would try and flee if he could.
Yes.
And as he has the ability to teleport himself to Snake Mountain, there was no reason for him not to do that. But it doesn't diminish the fact that it is a sound victory for Trevor. As we've had before, disqualification by leaving the arena, or indeed just the sentiment of victory is there. If you call someone to retreat, that's a sentiment of victory. I know we call it a battle to the death, but, if someone has a way of getting out of that death, then so be it. Kudos them. He gets to live, but he doesn't get any mishmash, and he is removed from the Mishmash Mayhem Hall of Fame combatants entry list.
Yes.
To be replaced by another person another day.
Whereas Trevor gains his mish.
Hooray!
Hooray! So now it's time for the exciting moment when Mr. Wade gives us his clue for next episode's character. What's your clue? Hit me with it.
My laptop's still turning on, so I don't know yet.
Okay.
But yeah, that was an interesting fight. If it had been, I don't think the arena would have changed anything in anyone's favour particularly,
no.
unless there was some kind of instant death thing, then Skeletor might have had a chance of victory through deviousness and being able to teleport.
Sure.
Although I'm not sure he necessarily would have been that clever anyway.
No. But I think Trevor is just he's a more skilled fighter, he's much smarter, and he's used to fighting undead magic users. That's kind of what he's trained to defeat. Yeah,
Skeletor isn't not a good fighter, but there's a difference between being able to, just not get killed by someone and actively killing really powerful people.
Okay, so what's your clue for your next character?
Okay, we got another undead character.
Potentially playing into Trevor's favour. Go on.
From an anime series, and are they undead? They have a curse on them, which gives them almost the state of being undead. Yeah, their status is classed as living dead. So the main character from a anime series with a curse inflicted upon them, which gives them an almost undead-like state.
Cool. Like Tokyo Ghoul.
Like Tokyo Ghoul, but without the really bad intro music. In fact, the theme tune to this one is really good.
To be fair, I didn't like Tokyo Ghoul. I watched the first 5 or 6 episodes and just wasn't hooked.
I watched all of Tokyo Ghoul because I was watching it with my girlfriend at the time. It was all right. There were some really cool bits in it, but overall it was a bit meh.
Yeah. I know people who like it, but that's why I gave it a go.
Yeah,
but,
I know people who like it.
Didn't do anything for me.
Let's find the intro for this, because it won't tell you who it is. Well, I mean, I suppose it will, but you're not going to know them anyway. It is a really cool... Oh, it's not the one I was thinking. Or is it? Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. Tune in next time to find out. But for now, what you might be thinking is, hey, fighting in a claw machine, that's pretty flippin' stupid. Well, you can suggest your own arenas for us to take part in the fights take place in, us to include in the fights. And you can do that if you email us at podcastmmm@tinkertailorsoldiersponge.com. Or you might want to suggest new fighters to take place. You might think that our fighter choicing is silly. You might be like...
I mean, it is a bit.
It is sometimes. The last 3 episodes have all had very, weird kids' cartoons.
Yes, believe it or not, Skeletor is from a kids' cartoon.
There's been a bit of a streak. So you might think, all of these cartoon characters, it's getting pretty stupid. Let me suggest something else.
I mean, at least Skeletor had a pretty decent chance. He just came across someone who was a vampire hunter.
Yeah, alright, maybe.
You know, if he was against other people on the list, he probably would have stood a reasonable chance at doing so. It's not like bloody Kung Fu Bear.
Kung Fu Bear.
Yeah, the dog man. I don't know. Maybe.
But yeah, you might want to suggest non-cartoon characters, and you can do that over on the Twitter at podcastmmm. Podcast delicious. Podcast. Yeah, that's where you can do it. You know, or if you just want to drop by and go, hey, I think that fight would have gone in this way, actually. What about if you'd done this? Maybe this thing would have happened. And we'll be like, oh, interesting. Wish we had thought of that. Or you might want to just pop by and be like, actually, I think your podcast is pretty cool. Have a high five on me. That'd be nice to hear. But, all we have to do now is say, Mr. Wade, any final thoughts?
I'm hungry, and I'm about to grind probably a couple of hours on the last screen of Celeste Coreside Sea. Let's go.
Wish you the best of luck.
Thanks.
And with that being said, bye!
Catch you all late.
Good evening and welcome to the bar. Join Dr. Wilko as he investigates the histories of your favourite spirits and your favourite cocktails while mixing you a drink at the bar. The other bars may be closed, but a podcast bar will always remain open.